before I'm normally in the room and wave my arms about and well, that's anything that goes wrong is playing James. So you can go to the first slide, sorry, the second slide, James, which should be slide 2, yes? Right. This was. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, like the last presenter. I'm not doing this to give you my CV. I'm doing this to kind of prove the point about cognitive skills and games. First off, I did my master's degree just recently. As you can see, I'm grey-headed, so I was an adult student. I've been in the computer industry for 30-something years, but I've only been the last 10 in academia. I did my master's degree using a game called Counter-Strike, which I'm sure you all know and love, and I did it in the University in Auckland. Getting Counter-Strike on campus to do my trials was rather exciting. We have things down under called ethics committees where we're not allowed to do anything that could be construed as a bit risky. And so I went through the ethics committee and I said, oh, look, I need 40 students to play Counter-Strike for me. No. They all have these visions of Columbine massacre and everything, and it's like, oh, how much? So I thought, how do I get this? They said, well, we don't want our students coming on and shooting everybody. I said, what if I use the students from the university down the road? Oh, that's okay, yes. So, so much for ethics. We had 40 students and we played Counter-Strike, and as you can see from the slide there, I used a product called SynWin. This is the little one you see on the side there with the big yes and no button. This is a military spec tool that they use for testing multitasking abilities of air traffic controllers. And again, I wrote there that I got first class honours top students, not because I'm trying to brag, but because I'm proving a point that the work was scrutinised fairly heavily, and we did prove that playing Counter-Strike, you do significantly improve your multitasking skills. And we found things like up to about 8 hours a week, you improve skills. More than that, you don't tend to improve anything. In fact, you even go down a little bit. You need to play at least around 2 hours a week to improve your skills. And it's better in a multiplayer environment. So there was a lot that came out of that study and that game. So I moved on to do my PhD with an Australian university. And if we can go to the next slide, please, cute, ugly assistant.
Yep.
3?
Yep, you're on that.
And my PhD was done again in digital games for cognitive abilities. Again, I've put there awarded excellence. Now, down under we have, as you can probably tell, I'm not a local here in Austria. That's not Australia, that's Austria. Here in the same time zone as you. But I'm a New Zealander, I live in Austria, and I have a Slovene name. Go figure. When you do a PhD down under, it's externally peer reviewed. Here I find in Austria, the PhDs, the masters, your supervisor reviews it. Well, okay, that's fine. That's how it works. In Australia, my PhD was reviewed by an educational technologist in Edinburgh, a psychologist in New Zealand, and I was doing it in Australia, remember, and another expert in Hong Kong. So it's externally reviewed for what we call rigour. Okay, so anything that you prove, like in academia, folks would say that you showed, but anything that you prove is really, they say, well, were your experiments rigorous? Do they stand the test of time? Do they do all these wonderful things? And yes, mine did. We proved through different games, through different environments, different frameworks, that playing computer games, playing digital games, you can not only increase your cognitive abilities, but you can accelerate them. As you see, the picture of the strange-looking guy there on your left, right, whatever. That was a game we wrote called Phonological Zombies. It was a zombie game, and these zombies moved towards you, and if you didn't get the numbers correct, they ended up killing you. So it was kind of like a 3D dungeon game. It was pretty cool. But what we built into it was working memory tests, and they were based on the Welcher scale, which was a psychological test that they used to test your working memory. And we found that students were playing this game, they were improving by 3, 4, sometimes 5 times their working memory. Now, a lot of you may or may not know, we can all remember 7 things in our mind, our memory. This is why telephone numbers are normally, well, they started off to be 7, okay, they're a lot longer now. We can do things called chunking, where we group them in our mind. My current telephone number, I think, is 14 if I put international code on. Why can I remember that? Because I remember it in groups of numbers, okay? We found that gamers who were playing this were scoring up to 16, 17, 18 individual pieces in their memory. You could say, well, does that mean that gamers or people who have big working memories play games, or is it the games that increase their memory? Well, through a series of programs and tests, we found that if the game is done right, you can improve your memory as well as other cognitive abilities. One of the studies that we did, I noticed the speaker before me was talking about Dance Dance Revolution. We also did a DDR test as well using eye tracking to see that, well, okay, people use it for losing weight and for exercise, but where does the cognitive task come in for this game? James, is it possible to show that video?
Yeah.
Are you able to turn the sound of the video down and still hear me, or not? Is that too technical?
No, I can turn the sound down, so that's playing now, the video.
Okay, it's playing now. I can't see it.
Hang on, no, it's on the wrong screen. 1 second, here we go. It's playing.
Okay, well, I can't see it, but I know I've seen the video before because I took the video. These are 2 expert DDR players. Now, as the video goes on, you have a look at how fast their feet are moving. They are doing 7 moves per second, and they are getting every single one correct. Now, any of you who've ever played DDR, well, you probably think, yeah, that's impossible. No, these guys are doing it. The video should pan around shortly to show you the arrows going up the screen. And these guys are getting every single one correct. So we thought, how are they doing this? We eye tracked them. We used some fairly expensive eye tracking technology that we have here at the university where my wife works, so I kind of borrowed the equipment, which is kind of cool. What these expert players are doing, they are pattern searching, they are pattern mapping, and they are committing groups of patterns to memory. And in their peripheral vision, as the arrows get to the top of the screen, they're not looking at the top of the screen like you and I would do if we played the game. They are watching the patterns coming up. And in their peripheral vision, as they see the arrows get to the top of the screen, they execute the move. We found that as they got better in playing, we did a 3-month study on them, and as they get better, their cognitive skills, if you test their cognitive skills using things like working memory tests, their cognitive skills are improving as well. So we found to get better at the game, to get to this expert level of DDR, you improve your cognitive abilities, not just get fit. Okay, so a lot of movement-based games, okay, maybe not the kinetics where you just follow the movements, but movement-based games where you're trying to do things like pattern searching are very good for cognitive as well. It's interesting that nobody is using it for that. Maybe it's another study. I guess the video's finished now because you're all looking at me, right? But it's pretty cool. If you want to have a look at that again, it is on YouTube. Just search on DDR and Pivec, which is my last name. You'll see it on YouTube. It's pretty amazing, as I said. 7 moves a second. Try it. It's not easy to do. James, if you could go to slide number 4, please.
Yep.
Okay, these are some of the things that we've learned from the research and from my PhD study. And some of them seem obvious, but they're not. Now, you need all of these things if you want to really accelerate the cognitive learning. Learners learn faster if they know they're learning. And there's a lot of academics around that believe in slide, please. Listen. Gender appropriate. Again, we all think that's obvious, but it's not. Most game developers are guys. Yeah, sorry, but they are. But we're now talking about 50% of gamers, almost 50% of gamers are female. Women, I see a lady there in the audience smiling about this. Yeah, women gamers, female gamers play for different reasons. Guys like to be punished for failure. Women like to have another chance or like to be rewarded for their efforts. This is life. Why isn't it the same in games? You know, I play a shoot-'em-up game. Hey, you die? You should die. You know? You talk to a lot of female gamers. They don't want to die. They want to kind of respawn. They don't want to lose everything. The rules are different. So why can't the rules for educational games be different as well? Selectable goals. Metacognition is not cheating, right? Everybody thinks working out, gaming the game, well, that's cheating. Well, in educational games and serious games, it is not necessarily cheating. Metacognition is a very powerful tool. If you can think about how you're learning and devise a better way to learn, that should work. A lot of you gamers may have played Portal or Portal 2. Great game, wonderful games. There is more than one way to solve those puzzles. Okay, that's where the selectable goals and outcomes comes in. There should be more than one way to get through that game. And the last one there, alternative view modes, different genres. I surveyed 1,025 people. Okay, that's a large summary, a large selectable population for a survey. All of them had their preferences of which types of genres they like to play, okay? They all had their preferences. And we also did a smaller study, and found that if you're playing your educational game in the genre that you enjoy, again, you'll learn faster. So it's not rocket science, but you can do it. There's no reason why you can't develop one game to have top-down view, third-person view, first-person view, in the same game. It's just changing the camera angle. Sadly, not many games do this. So those are some of the things that we came up with when we developed the frameworks for game-based learning. You put them all together and you can do some fairly powerful games to accelerate cognitive abilities. In slide 6, you can see that I pushed this a lot I thought, okay, how can I use this? How can I use this for the greater good, if you like. We spoke to cancer people and they said, look, this would be great for kids to relearn, if you like, from after having cancer treatment. This would be really good for kids with brain issues. And psychologists said games would be really good if they were designed correctly and if they were used correctly. So we also thought, slide 7 please James, we also thought ADHD, autism, autistic kids they love games, but they've got to be designed correctly. ADHD kids are they react very well to games that are again designed for what they need. One of the things, slide 8 please James, one of the things we also came across was a thing called late effects. Teenagers who have cancer will survive the cancer, hopefully, but their treatment, their chemotherapy and their radiotherapy gives them a thing called late effects. They get cold.
Oh! No. Have we got technical systems here? That's me. Hang on. It was going so well.
Hello? Hey! What was that?
We're back. All right.
Hey guys. What I love technology. What slide are we on, James?
We're on late effects.
Sorry?
Late effects.
Late effects.
Yeah.
Okay, so from one of the things that we thought about was, okay, if we can design a product that enhances or offsets the cognitive decline of young teenagers who have had cancer therapy. Okay, they've survived cancer. Now all of a sudden they're 2 to 3 years behind in school. Not fair. Let's let them play games. So we came up with a product called Digital Me. If we can go to slide 9.
Yep.
The character there, the protagonist of the game, is called Phoebe. We did a survey. This is another thing if you want to, if you're collecting takeaways from this conference, we did a survey to find out who would be the best character, if you like, because we know that people, gamers, invest in their characters, and we found autistic children. We thought for young children, a fluffy little talking animal. No, not for autistic children. Autistic children will not play with a fluffy little furry animal that talks to them. Why? Because they view it, they're very clever, they just don't relate to the real world, but they view it as an insult to their intelligence, because fluffy little animals don't talk, okay? So they were happy with a humanoid-style character. We chose a female because girls like females because she can kick ass and she can look cute and she's nice. And guys like females because they're cute. And we have Phoebe here who rides a Harley Davidson. So guys thought that was cool as well. So she was kind of fitted all our target market. Next slide, please, Mr. Assistant. We based the whole thing on the research that we've been doing over 10 years. And we've built into the prototype, and I'll stress this is only a prototype at this stage, we built into the prototype the design principles that I've been talking about over the last 18 minutes and 45 seconds, and this will enhance their cognitive abilities. We have things in there called adaptive intelligence module, which will look at which cognitive skills that they're not so good at and which cognitive skills they are so good at, and it will give them more drill and practice than the ones they aren't. This can also be controlled remotely by the clinician or by the parent. And the active scaffolding is the same sort of thing. It's an intelligent module, like I said before. We're doing a computer program. I'm a computer programmer. There is no reason why a game can't decide how good you are at playing it and adjust the rules accordingly. Next slide, please, James. There are other things in there. There's chat facilities, as you can see from the screen there. You can customize, you can change the clothes and the character, etc. You can record as playing. So you can buy into invest time, if you like, in the character. And there'll be a series, a library of games, not just the simple games, the singular games. Slide 12, where at this stage we're targeting Apple products. Those of you who use Android phones, I'm sorry, but I am mainly an Apple person. Why? Because I like their technology. I guess it's also that people who buy Apple products actually pay for their products. People who buy Androids don't always. But the Apple, well, from a developer point of view, it's a better platform. The next slide, please, 13. It fosters drill and practice, but it uses a lot of cognitive techniques. I don't know how many of you have played Angry Birds. I guess probably all of you. Certainly all of you probably know Angry Birds. I wonder if any of you could tell me, I'm going to tell you anyway, why Angry Birds is so popular. It's not just because of bad piggies are cute and little red birds are angry. It's just Worms. If you've all played Worms, Worms were cute. And Worms was just Missile Command. And those of you who, probably none of you in the audience that are as old as I am, Missile Command was just a black and white program that we played back in the DOS days. It's just Angry Birds. It's no different. So how have Rovio made Angry Birds addictive? Well, I'll tell you. They use cognitive, well, it's teasing really. They mess with your cognitive abilities, okay? Okay, let's use proper terms. It's a cognitive challenge. When you play Angry Birds, as you know, you can zoom the screen out and see everything. But when you look at what your target, then when you go back over here to fire it, you can't see the target anymore. So you go and look at the target, okay? And you go, okay, I'll commit that to memory. There's that. And there's actually more than the 7 things that you can remember. Then you go back over here, you can't see the target again, right? And there has been 2 studies done on Angry Birds that prove that it is cognitively challenging, okay, just by moving the screen. Rovio is very clever on that. That is one of the main things that makes it addictive, not because you can buy a little fat red bird at a theme park, okay? So putting in cognitive challenges into a game make you play it again and again. And if you're learning something, well, even better. Next screen, please, James. We spoke a lot to clinicians, and they said, yes, this is wonderful. What we want we want the characters or the game while they're playing it to remind the kids to take things like their medication, to remind the kids to do other things. If it's therapy, maybe they have to get off their bed and walk around, or maybe they have to not play for a while. So they can build into it other things. The game will also think of it a little bit. Again, I'm probably predating some of you. It was a game called Kamakuchi. I don't know if you remember Kamakuchi. It was a little pet that you had on a device. These things down under in New Zealand, these things were banned from schools, okay? Because the kids played them and they were so addicted that they had to feed their pet or it will die. Well, what we've built into Phoebe is that you have to interact and you have to get her to do these challenges, otherwise she forgets, okay? So it's the same sort of addictive therapy, if you like, that is built into games like Kamakuchi. And I'm running out of time, so I'm going to move on. I'm nearly done with my slides. Next one, please, James. One of the best things that clinicians and parents liked about this game is that instead of, well, when I was doing my PhD, I did cognitive tests on the kids before they played the games. They played the games, and then I did the cognitive tests after. And then a long time later, I did the cognitive tests. Well, because I've built in the cognitive game, or the cognitive skill in the game, I can test your ability while you're playing that game. And I can take that data and spit it out to a server. So this can then feed in to the clinicians' tests. I've got a friend in Boston at the moment. He uses game therapy, but he puts the kids through the series of tests in his offices and his practice. They then play the games for a couple of weeks, and then he has to get the kids back to do the tests again. He said, I would love to be able to see their progress on a secure server somewhere while they're playing the game. Well, that's easy to do. It's not hard. It just is not done at the moment by other games that profess to do this. Next slide. There is a wealth of research out. Don't just take my word for it that I got accolades for my research. Yay! They didn't give me any money, but they gave me accolades. But there's a wealth of research out there that proves that all these things are accelerated through playing computer games. Even Dance Dance Revolution, okay, DDR. I focused on it on the selective and divided attention, the visual processing, spatial memory and working memory were the ones I focused on. There's no reason why all of these can't be built into a game. We're nearly there. Next slide, James. We're doing some work with able gamers in the US. Why? Because a lot of kids that have disabilities, whether they be learning disabilities or disabilities in general, they're associated with the Able Gamers Foundation. So if you're going to make a game for disabled, even kids that have disabilities, make sure you fit it within the accessibility guidelines. For example, if you're doing a game for autistic kids, they like repetition. They like to be told again and again and again. So repeat what they have to do over and over. That's okay with them. Don't put a time on it. Don't put a time limit on the task. They hate that. They will get upset. Okay? So there's things for the different target markets that you have to learn when you're doing your games. And this language thing, I guess because most computer games, or the great North America was where all the computer games came, although I think here in Europe we're now rivaling North America, but they're still all in English. Certainly with doing it on iOS or on mobile platforms, there's absolutely no reason why you can't do it in different languages. There's a big market out there. Almost last slide. We can probably skip that one. If you want to learn more about the Digital Me, go to the digitalme.piveclabs.com, or if you just want to know more about me, just go to Pivec Labs. And slide 19, there's a picture there of Phoebe on her Harley. It's a highly customized V-Rod, very, very go fast, and you show this to the guys and they go, oh yeah, Phoebe's really cool. And I'm going very fast here because I've taken over my time. Last slide, please, James. If you know more about me, you can Google me. That's the About Me, LinkedIn, or my academic webpage. Yes, I'm on Facebook, but I keep that for personal friends, and none of you are my friends. So these are my business. Not until you buy me the Guinness that you owe me. I understand that I have to ask a couple of questions here.
Yes, you do.
Is that correct?
Yeah, 2 hardcore game questions for 2
questions.
Okay.
2 questions. Okay. First one probably for hardcore gamers. Who knows the name of the character inside the metal suit of Metroid Prime?
Ooh.
I'll give you a hint. It's a female. She's been voted as the sexiest player because she kicks ass.
Samus?
Samus Aran. Yes, very good. Give that man a prize.
Second badge?
She's hotter than Lara Croft. Come on. Second badge. Game franchises. Halo from Microsoft or Bungie Studios was sold 500 million copies, and everybody said, wow, that's pretty cool. Microsoft loved it. Call of Duty came along and sold 50 million copies. Call of Duty came along and sold 100 million copies. Which game franchise sold 500? Outstripped Halo by 10 to 1. Which game franchise sold 500 million? Halo was 50 million. Made a lot of money. Call of Duty still going. Sold 100 million. which one is still going and sold 500 million copies?
Shout out the answer if you know it. Angry Birds? Angry Birds?
No.
No? Half-Life? Half-Life? No.
No.
Mario,
no. Sims?
World of Warcraft?
What did he say?
World of Warcraft over here?
No, somebody said something.
Mario? Sims? Sims? No. The Sims? No.
Is it actually
Mario?
No. It was Mario. Somebody say
We had a
Mario.
Mario over here, hang on.
It was Mario.
We had a Mario, well done. Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Mario has been talked about a lot today.
Can we get some questions?
Mario is the only thing that's keeping Nintendo alive. Okay? So it just goes to show, if you come up with the right protagonist, the right character in your game, you can go a long way. Mario has been around for many, many years, and I guess still will be in the Hall of Fame for computers. It has made Nintendo, put Nintendo on the map. It's Mario. Everybody knows Mario.
Thank you, Paul.
Anyway, that's my talk.
Do we have any questions? So, can you say where you're from and your name, please?
you know me.
I know, but for everyone else.
I'm from the school.
Want to stand up?
Anyway, I was thinking that what we have heard about these games and their benefits, they have been about very specific games and how these specific games could benefit. Are there any research done in the, let's call it, generalized patterns, these generalized concepts that everybody can take and say, this works? So is that a question?
Did you hear that, Paul?
Yeah, I can. I'm just trying to pick the question in there. I'm just trying to frame the question. Do you want to know what general abilities you get from all games?
For example, when you talked about this Angry Birds thing where you slide back and forth and you actually trained your memory because you needed to commit to memory the target area, that would be a pattern of some sort where if you hide what you need later, then you are training your memory, basically. Do they have studies describing how this should be done in order for, let's say, non-research people to say that this is actually working?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I'm not sure how many academics are in the audience and how many industry people are in the audience, but if there are both in the audience, perhaps you should get together over a coffee and say hello to each other. Because I've always struggled in the last 10 years, being a developer of 30 years, and now working in, or having been worked in academia for 10, they don't speak the same language, okay? Industry, if they figure out how to do something, they keep it to themselves. They're not going to tell anybody, okay? That's how it works. It's a commercial environment. If academia figure out how to do something, they will sometimes tell everybody, but sometimes not, and they will also won't frame it in the terms of that a developer wants. Okay, I was at a conference in Vancouver called DIGRA, and up on the stage there were 5 high-profile developers. One was from Electronic Arts, which was just laid off 10% of their staff. But this was back in their heyday. But they were 5 high-profile developers of very large games that could be used for educational type games, off-the-shelf games. In the audience, there were 400 academics. And the academics said, look, if you let us sit with your developers for a couple of weeks, we can build these neat cognitive abilities and all these wonderful things into your game, so you will be able to sell the games and say you can learn things. The developers kind of look blank at their face and says, we're in the entertainment industry, and our bottom line is selling games. We really don't care, right? The academics didn't like that, and to cut a long story short, within half an hour, we thought that the the developers were going to be lynched. They had to be escorted from the stage. It got very heated, it got very argumentative, and it just didn't work. So there is a wealth of research out there. Some of it's rigorous, some of it's not. There was research out there that says you don't learn a damn thing from computer games. There was research out there like mine that says you learn a lot from computer games. Frankly, computer game developers are not interested unless they think it's going to sell them something. Rovio obviously decided, hey, we can do something here, it makes our game more addictive, and it worked for them. Let's face it, the guys from Rovio were students, they had come straight out of academia, and they obviously thought hard and long and hard about it. Most game developers don't, certainly not the big companies. I'm not sure I answered your question, but, oh, sorry.
Any more questions? You want the badge, don't you? Or you need to ask a question. Yeah, name first and where you're from.
Sorry, I was down with you last week, so it's going to be quiet.
Okay.
Take it. I'm an e-concept development student at Yale.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, on your research, did you use child developers? I know you have a name for it.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you, sorry.
Yeah. He's got a sore throat, so...
What was the question, James?
What's the question again?
Did you use...
James, what was the question?
He's going to say...
Hang on,
Did you use child development, like child development theories for your research?
Did you use child development theories for your research? Is that what the question is?
Child development theories for the... I work fairly closely with two child psychologists, but they were more educational psychologists working in the child area. Yeah, so they kind of guided me on how I was going to do the addictive part. I generally with most of my PhD research, I used more teenagers and older people, again because we have ethics down in New Zealand and Australia, and you're not allowed to use anybody under 16 for research, okay? You can use sheep, but you can't use anybody under 16. We have a lot of sheep, apparently. So I used students, but they were a bit older. But the theories, yeah, we had to do all the... I did some psychology papers, but I was more on the computer science and the educational side of things. So it wasn't grounded in deep psychology theory, no.
Cool. I think we're done. Round of applause. Thanks again to Paul.